She's Kate Moss, and she's a rock star trapped in a supermodel's body.
Very strange features, widely spaced eyes, not the best teeth.
Kate isn't just a supermodel, she's a super muse.
Since I was 14, they always got me to take my clothes off.
Kate has that quality of child woman, touches a nerve with men especially.
She looked like a little kid.
It was, it was a different whole Hollywood thing.
She dates bad boys, she's in and out of rehab. She does what she wants, and she looks cool doing it. And when she gets into trouble, she somehow manages to seem even cooler.
A comment from the supermodel icon of the heroin chic look in the 90s. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
People defaced billboards with Kate Moss saying, and feed me.
She's had plenty of drug problems and dated some questionable men.
Daily Mirror showed an unglamorous Kate holding a rolled up £5 note over what appears to be lines of coke.
How do you deal with your fame and loss of privacy?
The press bothers me.
Her nicknames include Coke Kate and Kate Mess.
Well, I've always loved coke.
Let's get into it. New year, new goals. So why not finally start that business you've been dreaming about? If you've been putting it off, Shopify makes it easy to launch, sell, and scale all in one place. With thousands of customizable templates, you can set up a store in minutes, no coding needed. And Shopify's powerful social media tools let you sell everywhere your audience scrolls. The best time to start is now, before someone else takes your idea, so don't wait and get started today. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Sloan, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Sloan to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Sloan. Welcome back to the Let's Get Into It podcast. Today we are diving into the life of supermodel Kate Moss. But she's not just a model, she is a symbol of the 90s and one of the most controversial figures in fashion history. From being discovered at just 14 years old to becoming the face of heroin chic, Kate Moss's life reads like a rock star's memoir, full of fame, excess, and scandal. But behind closed doors, there have been times in Kate Moss's life where she's had to fight for survival or reinvent herself to stay relevant. Drug scandals and toxic relationships with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. From her tumultuous romance with Johnny Depp, which ended in chaos, to her infamous cocaine scandal that nearly destroyed her career. And let's not forget about the wild parties that she attended and possibly these freak-offs with Diddy and many more. Despite everything, despite the headlines, the controversies, and even being canceled before cancel culture was a thing, Kate Moss has managed to always come out on top. So how did she do it? What was going on behind the scenes? Who is Kate Moss? Let's go ahead and start from the beginning. Now, one thing I love about Kate Moss is that she really created a pathway for herself within the fashion industry. She gave an androgynous look to modeling. In the 80s, models were perfect. Everything about them was perfect, but Kate Moss embraced the more edgy look.
I can't do pictures with the other girls where we're all standing in a line and I'm like 5 inches shorter than everyone else. I like walking on platforms because they make me taller and I'm short compared to all the other girls.
Everybody thought Sarah Dukas had lost her mind because Kate Moss was probably 5'6" at the time, and very strange features, widely spaced eyes, not the best teeth, but she saw something.
Now, Kate Moss has gotten to the point in her career where she would collaborate with a brand and they would sell out immediately because it's beyond just her photo skills and her runway. It's who she is as a person and the message that her look and her vibe has given off. Now, Kate was only 14 years old when she was spotted at the JFK airport on her way back home to London. This woman named Sarah Dukas, the founder of the British modeling agency Storm, noticed her and she decided to go and scout her, which I feel like it's like every kid's like dream when you're like a young kid. You think you're like at the mall and someone's gonna like notice you and you're just gonna become a celebrity. It reminds me of that, but it actually happened for Kate Moss.
In JFK airport, my dad worked for Pan Am and we were on standby for like 3 days. We'd slept in the airport. Eventually we got on the plane. It was the same plane as my agent. Her brother came up and asked me if I'd ever thought about modelling, and I was 14, so obviously I hadn't thought about anything. And I was like, no. And he said, my sister's an agent. Well, do you want to meet her? And I was like, yeah. And I went home and told my mum, and she didn't believe me. She said, I don't think you're that photogenic. And my mum said that. And then I just kind of went on castings for years.
Now, as you heard, in Kate Moss's situation, it wasn't the agent that noticed her, but rather the brother of the agent. And despite getting this hit of someone trying to, go and recommend you for modeling, editors didn't go and grasp towards Kate Moss because she was too small at the time for standard models. They said, quote, she had an amazing face, but her body just wasn't what we were into in the late 80s. Which is still so weird to think, like, decade by decade, like, people have, like, preferred bodies, and we look back and we think it's ridiculous, but then we're at this time where everyone's got a big BBL. They're all shaped like a peach, and or a pear rather, and that's gonna go down in history too, and like 50 years from now when they're like, wow, everyone was built so different back then. Kate Moss really started to pick up success when she moved to America because these designers were a little bit more open-minded and like the progressiveness of this, like, grungy vibe that Kate Moss had.
Kate isn't just a supermodel, she's a super muse. Her impact transcends fashion, and no matter how much we see her, she always maintains her mystery. She's had plenty of drug problems and dated some questionable men. She's been blamed for promoting anorexia and heroin use, and her nicknames include Cocaine Kate and Kate Mess. She's Kate Moss, and she's a rock star trapped in a supermodel's body. She dates bad boys, she's in and out of rehab. She does what she wants, and she looks cool doing it. And when she gets into trouble, she somehow manages to seem even cooler.
I don't know, like some bad girl goddess, something like that. No, I love a high heel, always. For me, always.
I like how they describe her like she's a bad girl and she does what she wants and she looks cool while doing it. But Kate Moss hasn't always been a fan of modeling. She told T Magazine in 2010 that she just hates talking with the media, and that as a young model she used to get very ill just worrying about interviews. Now, in her early days of her career at just 14 years old, she was known for her topless shoots. Yeah, at 14, and Kate admitted that she wasn't happy with this. She goes on to say that photographers would pressure her to show more skin than she was comfortable with, and she was doing this from 14 to 16 onward. In a rare interview with Lauren Laverne, Kate Moss shared that she had multiple stories of abuse from early on in her career. She recounted a narrow escape at 15 where a male photographer pressured her to go topless, taking place in 1988. She said, I had a horrible experience with this bra catalog. I was only 15 years old. He said, take off your top. And then I was really shy. I could feel there was something wrong, so I got my stuff and I ran away. And looking back on some of these old Kate Moss interview clips, it's so cringe to see how everyone was so comfortable talking about her bare chest.
It's even worse when everyone's judging you and not the clothes. For a normal couple, they're judging the clothes. They don't really judge you. But these...
Right. And did you get taught how to walk and everything? I saw them getting taught to walk backstage there.
No, I didn't get taught to walk. No.
Now, I mean, you personally, you did some modelling recently for Calvin Klein, did some topless stuff. That wasn't allowed. What do you think about that? I mean, is it like, do you think that people should be allowed to do whatever they want, modelling-wise?
Yeah, it's up to them what they do. Definitely.
Now, someone's going to get a contract for a year with an elite modelling agency. Is that guaranteed success for them now? Whoever wins? No.
It's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in this business.
Now, at 16 years old, Kate Moss shot for Face magazine, which ultimately made her a star, but she did not have a great experience doing this. She said the photographer, Corinne, pressured her and asked her to pose topless again, which ultimately led her to tears. She said, I worked with this woman photographer called Corinne Day, and she always liked me with no top on. I did not like it at all when I started. Kate admits to crying a lot about being naked. Day, would say, if you don't take your top off, I'm not going to book you for Elle. It is painful. I loved her. She was my best friend, but she was a tricky person. But the pictures were amazing, so she got what she wanted, and I suffered for them. But at the end of the day, they did me a world of good, really. They changed my career.
Kate has that quality of child woman thing, which touches a nerve with men, especially. That's always on the edge a little bit, and you hope to do something that stimulates people, that stimulates their imagination, and that gets noticed.
The way that man is describing how Kate Moss looks like a lady child and that people are into that because it sells just makes me so disgusted with the world. Like, ugh. Gosh, I hope I come back into like another dimension where we don't have people like that. In 1992, Kate did an underwear campaign, again, topless, but made her a huge star. She said she had to take Valium for her anxiety just to get out of bed for work. She felt objectified, vulnerable, and scared. She said they played on my vulnerability. Calvin loved that.
Her first fashion images were shot by photographer Corinne Day for the Face magazine. But it was when Kate started dating photographer Mario Sorrenti that her career really took off. His photographs of Kate for Calvin Klein's Obsession created a new category of fashion icon.
She looked like a little kid. And it was deliberate on the part, especially of Calvin Klein. His reason was, I want women to move away from that whole super glamorous, amped up beauty. And I want them to be more like simple, minimal, clean, because that was what his designs were like. And because of the endorsement from Calvin Klein, everybody had to use her.
Now, on top of being like topless all the time, she was also a huge star. So it's like the entire world has seen your body. She remembers in hindsight being quite young and innocent and not really realizing the implications of everything that was going on. And what's sad too is, not all money is good money. I mean, she felt in her gut multiple times that these were bad things, not good for her mental health. Like, who cares about your career at this point? And whether you have a lot of money in your bank account or not, those memories that PTSD isn't going to go away.
Patrick was shooting Calvin, who then told Calvin about me. And then I met Calvin, then I did Calvin Klein. That's when everything changed. Really nervous. Especially the shoot with Marky Mark. It was so intimidating. I mean, Marky Mark was like, it was a different whole Hollywood thing. Didn't talk very much. But he was a nice guy. Since I was 14, they always got me to take my clothes off. Even though I didn't like my body at all, I just had to get comfortable with it because they they asked me to take my clothes off. I had no idea why. I really don't get it at all, but,
It's 2025, and if you're still thinking about starting your business, what's stopping you? Maybe you don't know where to start, how to build a brand, or where to sell. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is an all-in-one platform that helps you create your store, launch your brand, and get your first sale fast. With thousands of customizable templates, you can build a professional storefront with zero design or coding skills. And selling, Shopify makes it seamless. Whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, or your website, their built-in social media tools help you sell directly where your audience is scrolling. Shipping, taxes, payments, it's all managed from one easy-to-use dashboard so you can focus on growing your business. Think about it. What happens if you wait? Will you regret not starting sooner? Will someone else launch your idea first? The best time to start is now. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Sloan, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Sloan to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Sloan. Let's move on to our next segment, and I want to keep in mind that this can be triggering for you. We're going to talk about her quote, "Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels," and her promotion of behavior that could be bad for your body. And if you do want to skip this segment, I totally understand, but let's dive in. Pale skin, dark under eyes, and emaciated features, all characters linked to heroin or other drug abuse, were hallmarks of the heroin chic look. This skeletal look served as an inspiration for Calvin Klein's 1993 Obsession perfume, starring Kate Moss. Discussing the 1993 Vogue shoot, Kate said she felt really good, adding, "The whole shoot I felt comfortable. I love creating these images, it wasn't glamorous, it was in my flat in London. Our bedroom was like a bed sit. That's the kind of fashion I liked. It was much simpler." When Kate was a teenager, she shot to fame and she shot for Vogue, which is huge as a model to shoot there, which she posed in lingerie. It helped cement her as part of a trend, but the pictures had major backlash.
Kate's anti-supermodel look made her a star within the fashion world. To much of the general public, though, she looked thin and unhealthy.
People defaced billboards with Kate Moss saying anorexia and feed me. Kate Moss, in fact, was not anorexic. She's thin and she's an ectomorph, so she's the sort of thin, narrow type of human being. And at that particular point in fashion, that physique was being emphasized.
When U.S. President Bill Clinton spoke out against what people were calling the heroin chic trend, The fashion world took it seriously and wanted nothing to do with anything or anyone considered edgy. It looked like the Kate Moss era was officially over. But we all know it wasn't.
Vogue fashion editor Catherine Castron said of the shoot, the public was not ready. They were absolutely appalled immediately. The pictures were completely vilified and slammed. Perhaps we'd underestimated how that look had in our minds been quite normal. Anna Wintour also acknowledged that the malnourished looking models made people uncomfortable. Many of us at Vogue worried about heroin chic or anorexia, all the things that are associated with that look. It got to such a fever pitch. I remember physically being in the White House when Clinton administration took the issue on. And it's hitting different when the government's stepping in. In May 1997, the president spoke at the White House to draft a plan to control the trafficking and use of illegal drugs. The contentious fashion industry trend was criticized by Clinton, who accused the fashion industry of making heroin seem glamorous, sexy, and cool. Clinton said American fashion has been an enormous source of creativity and beauty and art and frankly economic prosperity for the United States. We should all value and respect that. But the glorification of heroin is not creative, it's destructive, it's not beautiful, it's ugly, it's not about art, it's about life and death, and glorifying death is not good for any society.
The growing number of young girls on the catwalks who are as thin as rakes. Is this really the image that the fashion business want to portray?
When Kate Moss shot to stellar stardom, it was widely agreed that fashion hadn't produced anything quite like her since the days of Twiggy, and nor was ever likely to again, at least not for another 20 or so years. But now the fashion business has once again donned its suit of political incorrectness. But it's not all glitz and glamour. Influenced by a constant bombardment of media images, everyday girls are literally dying to be thin.
The supermodels are getting thinner. This means that if the young person gets hold of the idea that the way to feel good about yourself is to slim, to be like a supermodel, she finds that she's battling against her natural body structure, which is to actually be bigger, and in consequence, she's at risk.
And models too.
If she's not naturally of slim build, I don't advise that they come into this industry to begin with.
Now, Kate Moss may just naturally be thin, maybe at the beginning of her career. We know she struggled with the drugs, but this headline reads, Kate Moss suffered awful abuse over heroin chic style. She acknowledges that the fashion industry had effects on people because she felt it. She said people would come up to me and say, my daughter's anorexic. It's awful. I think it's because I was just skinny and people weren't used to seeing skinny. But if I was thicker, then, as she said, buxom, I'm going to say thicker, it wouldn't have been such a deal. It's just that my body shape was different from models before me. Kate Moss felt that she often became the scapegoat for a lot of people's problems, saying, I was never anorexic, I never have been. I've never taken heroin, I was thin because I didn't get fed at shoots or in shows. I guess I just stayed thin.
How do you deal with how do you deal with your fame and loss of privacy? Is it a huge deal, or do you get along fine with it?
I kind of, the press bothers me.
Press?
Yeah, tabloids, like the gossip. And people believe it, and half of it's never true. And, when you work, they're there, so. No, sorry. And they write anything about you anyway, even if you don't do anything.
It never occurred to me that anyone would scream about anorexia. I mean, I never thought about it. She is thin, but she's natural. This is who she is, and yes, she's thin, and models should be thin. The clothes just look better on people who are thin, and certainly photograph better. But there's nothing artificial about her. There's nothing fake.
So weird to me that he's talking about models. They have to be thin and these things, and there's nothing artificial or fake about her. Well, what about healthy? Is she at least healthy? Now, we all know Kate Moss is associated with the quote, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. In 2009, Kate was asked if she had any mantras, and she said, there are loads of mottos. There's nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. That's one of them. She added, you try and remember, but it never works. Now, a lot of people have slammed this motto as potentially dangerous. With a lot of women wanting to be like Kate Moss, it could encourage them to act poorly, and go and get into a disorder that they were not even going, the trajectory wasn't there for them until this. So of course, a lot of the pro-Anna community, which is like pro-anorexia, like people who want to promote it, they look at Kate Moss as like a role model for them. Comments on social media read, when she's making unhealthy attitudes and behaviors seem somehow attractive, a lot of young girls see her as some kind of icon. Promoting these kind of attitudes is really inappropriate. It made me angry when I heard about it. Her modeling agency agency actually stepped in and said that Kate's words were taken out of context, but even with that statement, it did not help her case.
A comment from the supermodel icon of the heroin chic look in the 90s. Well, she's causing a lot of controversy. Kate Moss was asked during an interview for the fashion news website wwd.com if she had any mottos in life. Well, here's what she said to the question. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. That's one of them, meaning that's one of her mottos. The 34-year-old's comment has brought on a whirlwind of negative reactions. A spokesperson for Moss's agency Storm is telling the BBC that the statement was actually part of a longer answer Kate gave during a wide-ranging interview, and that part was taken out of context and misrepresents her thoughts after the deaths of two South American models who had suffered from eating disorders. Katie Green, a former model in the UK who launched the Say No to Size Zero campaign, told the British newspaper The Sun, quote, millions of girls aspire to be like Kate Moss. These comments are shocking and irresponsible.
Now, 10 years after saying this quote, Kate Moss has expressed regret over it. She said it was just a jingle. My friend used to say it because we're all living together and would go for biscuits and go, oh, you know what? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. So that's just where it came from. She meant it in a harmless way. And you know what? I think that this scandal or this part of Kate Moss's life really goes hand in hand with her drug use. Because, you know, they were talking about this heroin chic use and the promotion of heroin and drugs like that. And of course, Kate being wrapped up in the fashion industry, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of stars out there, and she fell victim to it. 20 years ago in 2005, there were photographs of Kate Moss with cocaine. It was a British tabloid that published photos of Kate appearing to take cocaine. Kate actually said in an interview that she felt sick and was quite angry. She said, at this point, everybody knew that I took drugs, so for them to focus on me and to try to take my daughter away, because she had her daughter at this point, I thought it was really hypocritical. This Instagram post reads, flashback to 2005 when Kate Moss was captured on the front page of tabloids for not fashion spreads, but for a cocaine scandal. Amidst the uproar and the intense heroin chic debate, she faced significant setbacks and losing major contracts with brands like H&M, Chanel, and Burberry. And I mean, look at these headlines and these photos. Not a good look. This one reads, Kate's on crack, and look at her face here. They did her so dirty.
Supermodel Kate Moss rocked the runway for more than a decade, and she was hoping to make 2005 one of her biggest years ever.
This past summer, everything looked rosy. She was going to be the new face of H&M, Stella McCartney's new line. She was back in British Vogue again.
Then she got an embarrassing front-page photo spread that no cover girl wants. The September the 15th Daily Mirror showed an unglamorous Kate holding a rolled-up £5 note over what appears to be lines of cocaine. Oops.
These photos were taken in a recording studio where her boyfriend, rocker Pete Doherty, was recording his new album.
What happens when you hang out in a studio where people are recording music? Coke! Textbook.
All over the front pages. You not seen it? Can't get in there into you.
Here's a really old article from 2005. Pictures of Kate Moss using cocaine led to job losses and police investigation. While Kate Moss's cocaine scandal may cause her career to suffer, advocates point out that the hundreds of thousands of Americans are spending years behind bars for non-violent drug offenses. So they are calling out the fact that there are a lot of people incarcerated when people like Kate Moss is just out and about using drugs for fun. Random take. If Kate Moss has I think that's random, just bringing up the incarcerated people, which I agree, like, you know, the rich and famous shouldn't just get away with whatever they want. If Kate Moss has a substance abuse problem, then she should have access to effective treatment options instead of facing jail time. As society, we also need to ensure the same compassionate opportunity for those who are not rich and famous. And of course, big brands like Chanel and Burberry do not want to be associated with this behavior. At the time she had a campaign with H&M, they decided to remove that, and then Chanel and Burberry announced that they severed ties with Kate Moss. Kate was a big part of Burberry, being featured in 9 of the 16 campaigns since 1998. They said, "We're saddened by her current circumstances and hope she overcomes her problems as soon as possible."
After snaps of her apparently doing cocaine made it onto the front page of a British tabloid. With the police on her tail, Kate fled to France, and the modelling contracts with the likes of H&M, Chanel and Burberry dropped like flies. Having pulled through years of speculation about her alleged drug and alcohol abuse, it seems she was finally done for, until a swag of influential friends and colleagues whipped up a groundswell of support. And by the middle of 2006, she was back in everyone's good books and starring in an internet ad for lingerie firm Agent Provocateur.
Kate Moss has got something that no one else has got, and no one else can find it, and so that's why they use Kate, because she's the best at what she does.
Without a doubt, she's the best model I've ever worked with. You know, I mean,
All you really have to do is get the light right, and then she hears the shutter, and every time the shutter goes, she gives you another look. Called a supermodel because actually she is the best supermodel around. She's the best at her job.
Now, because of these photos, Kate issued an apology saying, "To all the people I've let down because of my behavior, which has reflected badly on my family, friends, coworkers, and business associates and others." So she's sorry. "I take full responsibilities for my actions," she says. "I also accept that there are various personal issues that I need to address, and I've started taking the difficult yet necessary steps to resolve them." Now, they always say that your behavior is influenced by the people you're around, and her boyfriend Pete was not a good influence in her life and ultimately led to her rehab stint. This article from 2005 talked about Kate Moss and the fact that she had gotten in trouble for using with her boyfriend Pete, who's a rocker, as they report. In one scene from the video that circulated on television, Kate Moss teases her boyfriend Pete with some of the drugs, saying, "It's gone now, you've missed it." The person who sold these images to the Daily Mail could have gotten paid up to $1 million, and they wanted to see if possibly this publication was setting her up. But despite Kate having so much scandal, she still continued to get jobs, and Alexander McQueen was one of her biggest supporters, wearing a t-shirt that read, "We love you, Kate." Now, Kate went radio silent for a bit after this scandal, but there were some concerning reports. Someone who had saw Kate that summer was concerned that she was out of control. Quote, "Her looks were starting to go. She was so out of it. Although, unlike most drug users who tend to be consistent, Kate is unusual. She could be utterly charming when she wants to be, and then one day she'll be charming and another day completely out of it." And I did find a video clip, an interview clip, where it does seem like Kate isn't fully present in the moment, to say the least.
How punctual are you? Like on the average. I mean, last night, excepting last night.
Yeah. No, it's not my best.
It's not your best.
No, I'm not. It's not. No. No, but I'm all right. No, I am. No.
Be honest. Like, how late are you usually then?
15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not like hours.
Oh,
never like
not
hours
like Naomi?
late. No. Oh my God, nobody's late like Naomi. Jesus.
Now, years and years later, Kate found herself in trouble again. I'm talking about like 2015. This headline reads, "Kate Moss escorted off a flight for being disruptive." Police were called in to assist staff in escorting a passenger from a flight arriving into the airport this afternoon. No formal complaints were filed against Kate. She wasn't arrested, but it sounds like she was acting a little bit unstable on board. The airline went on to say it does not tolerate disruptive behavior and will always report any incidents to the authorities. We don't get any juicy details, but the passenger had been reported as being disruptive on the flight. It may be a private plane because it's called Easy Flight. I don't think she was in a standard commercial plane, which is probably why we don't have any like nice video clips to look at. But with these issues, it's interesting to see like how the brands continue to embrace her. I mean, even Coca-Cola decided to hire her. This headline quotes Kate Moss, "I've always loved Coke," as she jokes at a party that is launching Diet Coke. Now, this clip has gone viral, and it's funny because everyone in the crowd understands why she's talking about Coke in this way, saying that she's always loved Coke, which kind of works perfectly with a Diet Coke partnership. But again, it kind of like speaks back to how Kate has always been in the public. She's, she says what she wants to. When she said, skinny tastes as, what is it? Skinny tastes, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. She was kind of joking, but her words have impact. Now it seems like nowadays people are not as worried.
Well, I've always loved Coke.
Now you guys might be wondering, why is Coca-Cola partnering with Kate Moss? Well, supposedly she was part of this launch to redesign the cans to be like more chic and fashionable. So that's why they hired her. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Kate Moss's love life, in particular with Johnny Depp. let me take you guys back to the 90s. So the controversy is, during their highly publicized relationship in the early 90s, Kate and Johnny Depp were seen as one of the most glamorous couples in the world, but there were rumors about them being very toxic for each other and partying a lot, using drugs. Their entire relationship just fueled the rumors that Kate was this bad girl that was down to, get high and go party. This headline reads, "Inside Johnny Depp and Kate Moss's wild fling, including sex in every Chateau Marmont room." Kate and Johnny dated for 4 years after he split from Winona Ryder. The pair made headlines for their public displays of affection, as one of Johnny's friends told People in 1994 they can't keep their hands, lips, mouth, legs off each other. Their hot and heavy romance seemingly triggered its fair share of arguments and run-ins with authorities, as Johnny ended up in police custody during one of their romantic nights. I forget that Johnny Depp dated Kate Moss because I was also born in the mid-90s, so I wasn't there back then, but here are some clips of them together.
Are you proud of him, Kate?
So proud. So proud.
When you do get married, I wish you very many happy years together.
And when you get married?
I've done it. Go for it. It's a really good feeling.
I wish you many happy years.
Good feeling. I hope I won't do that.
Now, Kate has never had a problem talking about Johnny Depp. In the mid-90s, she was asked on a British TV show how romantic her then boyfriend Johnny Depp was. That's when Kate goes on to share that Johnny had given her a diamond necklace which he had hidden down the crack of his ass.
Is it? Yeah.
What sort of things does he do? What romantic things?
Surprise birthday parties, surprise presents.
Oh, go on. What sort of presents do you get?
He gave me a diamond necklace which he had hidden down the crack of his ass.
That's sort of romantic. Diamonds are the romantic.
Well, he said, I've got something on my bum, I don't know what it is, so I put my hand down his trousers and pulled out a diamond necklace. That was quite romantic.
I've been enjoying your breakfast in a moment. So, Kate, basically, are you going to tie the knot? Are you and Johnny going to get married?
I'm not saying anything.
We'll save it for later.
That is so crazy to me that he hid a diamond necklace down his bum for Kate. She did reminisce about this in an interview about the fashion she's been in over the years, and she said it was nice not to find something else down there. I mean, the diamond necklace is a much better gift than anything else you'd find in someone's crack. Ew.
And that diamond necklace Johnny gave me, they were the first diamonds I ever owned. He pulled them out the crack of his arse. We were going out for dinner, and he said, "I've got something on my bum. Can you have a look?" And I was like, "What?" And I put my hand down in his trousers, and I pulled out a diamond necklace. That diamond necklace.
Now, Johnny has also spoken about Kate over the years. Johnny claimed that he and Kate hooked up in every single one of the 63 rooms at the Chateau Marmont. He reportedly filled a tub with champagne at London's Portobello Hotel for them to bathe in, which I can't imagine that being good for your skin. That makes me itch even thinking about it. And what about pH levels? You got to think about those things. But in September 1994, police were called to the Upper East Side Marks Hotel, where they found Kate Moss and a possibly intoxicated Johnny Depp trashed in a presidential suite after an alleged fight. Johnny blamed the mess on an armadillo that he was hiding in the closet, even though there was no creature found. Johnny was taken into custody but did not face criminal charges. He had to pay the hotel about $10,000, which included $2,000 in damages, and the rest of the bill was from his reservation. Although the couple broke up in 1997, after 3 years and a rumored engagement, they appeared briefly together at the Cannes Film Festival in May 1998. Kate was reportedly reprimanded for wearing her bikini in the hallways of a hotel there. In response, she reportedly trashed her hotel room and was banned from setting foot in the place for life. Supposedly, Kate may have been still upset about Johnny and the fact that he was there, and he actually does take responsibility for their split.
Johnny, when are you guys getting married? For that, folks. What? When are you guys getting married? Getting married soon?
Johnny?
Are you going to change your underwear tomorrow?
Johnny, what do you think about Selena's death? Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, there's a question. You're special.
In 1998, Johnny said, "I've never gotten that emotional over a woman before." He said in Hello magazine, "I've been so stupid because we had so much going for our relationship. I'm the one who has to take responsibility for what happened. I was difficult to get on with. I let my work get in the way, and I didn't have the give her the attention that I should have. Quote, the whole thing was crazy because I should have never gotten so worked up over what people had to say about my work. Sure, I should care about my movies, but when I get home, I should try to leave that stuff behind. And he couldn't, so he made living at home a nightmare. Kate Moss admitted that she struggled for a long time after their breakup in 2012, saying, there's nobody that's ever really been able to take care of me. Johnny did for a bit. I believed what he said. Like, I said, what do I do? He'd tell me, and that's what I missed when I left. I really lost that gauge of someone I could trust. She said years and years of crying, oh, the tears. Now, Kate Moss was actually brought in to testify in the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial because some of the stories from their past relationship resurfaced in the trial and for whatever reason became relevant. Essentially, there was a story where Johnny Depp allegedly kicked Kate Moss down some stairs while in Jamaica. They're saying that she was wearing flip-flops and she slipped, and Johnny actually caught her and tended to her, and Kate had to go on record and set the story straight in court so that I guess Amber Heard wouldn't use that against him and to make him seem like he was a woman hitter or a kicker down the stairs in this case.
What, if anything, happened when you were in Jamaica with Mr. Depp?
We were leaving the room, and Johnny left the room before I did, and there had been a rainstorm, and as I left the room, I slid down the stairs, and I hurt my back.
How did you...
And
I apologize, Ms. Moss. Please continue.
And I screamed because I was because I didn't know what had happened to me, and I was in pain. And he came running back to help me and carried me to my room and got me medical attention.
Now let's talk about what Kate Moss has been up to nowadays. She's now 44 years old and the head of her own modeling agency, and she says her partying days are behind her, saying that she takes good care of herself now and that she's a good girl. I go to bed, I drink a lot of water, not too much coffee, and I'm trying to cut down on cigarettes. And even though she claims she's not partying, she's still causing concern. She gave a speech in which a lot of people questioned whether Kate was doing as well as she's trying to say she is.
Kate Moss is sparking concern following her speech at the 2022 Wall Street Journal Innovator Awards. Her unusual behavior on stage, with some saying she seems to be slurring her words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony and I have worked together for years. Since he started Saint Laurent, I could recognize his instinct for fashion, and I wanted to be part of that. I am honoured to be part of his Saint Laurent family and to be his friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honoured to present Antonin Vaccarello with the Innovator of the Award.
I mean, in that clip, it does seem like she's on something. It also sounds like she can cut down a little bit more on the cigarettes. But in 2024, we saw another concerning clip of Kate Moss where it seems like she's stumbling. And it makes me upset for her because it doesn't seem like she's really gotten the help she ever needed.
Hi, Kate.
As you guys can see, she could barely get through the hotel lobby. She set up her own modeling agency in 2016, signing her own daughter early on. Now, she said that she doesn't force her daughter to do anything, and definitely not something inappropriate. I'm not entirely sure how successful her modeling agency is, but she says that partying is now boring to her, and that she's not into being out of control anymore. After years of wild stories about her alcohol and drug use, the model told the magazine that she had given up going to clubs, adding, "I'm not a hellraiser, I don't burst the bubble. Behind closed doors, for sure I'm a hellraiser," but I guess she's not out on the scene anymore.
I think what I miss most is having the freedom to be without camera phones, to not be watched. And I think the best thing about the 20s is my relationship with Lila and having a teenage daughter.
Unfortunately, it seems like Kate Moss's little sister, Lottie, has followed in her footsteps. We haven't talked about Lottie in this episode yet because it's about Kate Moss, but we're going to end with Lottie. Now, she followed in her footsteps as a model. Like her sister, she is very beautiful, but she also found herself using drugs like Kate did.
I have struggled so much since, I was young with depression and anxiety, and problems with addiction. And oh God, it's like horrible even talking about it. Becoming a model and being in that industry made it very difficult for me not to succumb to drugs and alcohol and things like that. I've been in a habit of doing that for the rest of my life. I've gotten to a point where I just don't even like or know who I am.
So of course, Lottie is super emotional speaking about her own drug use. And I've spoken before on my main channel about how I believe, Ozempic is a drug. It's not getting you high, but that skinny high that we're talking about, that stuff that, what's the saying again? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. But anyways, that skinny high, well, there's another drug that Lottie's been struggling with, and it's Ozempic. And she actually spoke about having to go to the hospital because of complications of using the drug.
Fad that's going on right now is Ozempic. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I definitely tried it. When I tell you it was the worst decision I ever made. So if this is a warning to anyone, please, if you're thinking about doing it, do not take it. It's so not worth it. I had a friend and she could get it for me, and it was kind of below board. I'm not going to lie. It was from a doctor. I felt so sick one day. I'd said to my friend, I can't keep any water down. I can't keep any food down, no liquids, nothing. I need to go to the hospital. I feel really sick. We're waiting in the ER. It's taking forever. We go and see one of the nurses. She was like, right, we need to get someone to come and get you. So she sent me to the emergency room. I got wheelchaired through the hospital. I literally had a seizure from how dehydrated I was, which honestly was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
At the end of the day, Kate Moss has made quite an impact in the fashion industry, and I really hope that she can get her life together so that she can just have a nice, beautiful, long life with her nice agency and her daughter, and can live in happiness. That's what we want everyone to have, is, well-being, healthy and happy. That's what I want all you guys to have out there as well. But I hope you enjoyed this story about Kate Moss. What is the most interesting part you guys want to hear? I want to see what you guys have to say in the comments below. And I think it's interesting that she and Diddy had hung out plenty of times, and they had that relationship. We could dive more into that maybe in a main channel video, but I want to hear what you guys think, and I'll see you in a new episode next week. Bye, guys.